Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Yes, every plan does not go exactly as you vision. Mine is not exempt from this reality. I will take a moment to set the table of my plan for you. Jane and I have a weekly date night, and we generally use the same restaurant. So much so we have a regular table. It is in the back, still public, but away from the high energy near the bar. I decided that this would be the place I confront her. I planned to do it after the end of dessert. I got my lawyer and his wife's reservations at the same time. I gave our server the payment for both of our party's meals before we began. She has been our server for years. I had Carol on call to help Jane after I leave. My plan was to end the meal with a conversation about our relationship. I wanted to record it. Then I would confront her, tell her about how I know, my diagnosis, and the plan for what I want, and give her a letter asking her to not contact me or my family or come to the farm. I would have the letter witnessed. I would also leave her a briefcase full of evidence along with the divorce papers. Then get up and walk away. I expected her not to make a scene to protect her social status. I did record the conversation. She gushed about how great our relationship has been over the years. She talked about how great we are as a team. I asked her if I treat her right, have ever abused her, etc. She said of course not. Then I asked her why did she cheat on me. She stated that she does not know what Carol told me, but that it is she is wrong. I told her I had already known before Carol told me. At that point everything I think Jane had prepared to counter this conversation left, and so did the color on her face. All she could do is ask what? I then told her to let me get through this without interruption, and she shook her head in agreement. She went from a confident and prideful woman to a woman with the deer in the headlights look. All she could do is nod. I then explained how I came home after my meeting with my doctor. I was rushing home to have the most difficult conversation with the one person I wanted to talk to. I explained that when I drove up I saw his car. I then checked the cameras and saw they were in privacy mode. I decided then to go to the farm. I told her that I still had footage, and she almost interrupted to ask how, but I just put up my hand to remind her to let me finish. I told her about my diagnosis and plans not to fight the disease. I saw the heartbreak in her eyes, and I got angry. How can she feel sorrow for me? But I moved forward. I then signaled the waitress, and she went over and got my lawyer. They both came to our table. My lawyer handed me a briefcase and a folder with a letter. I told her that I don't want her to contact me or my family or come to the farm after I left tonight. I signed the letter and asked the server to witness it. The server and lawyer then watched me give the letter to Jane. I then dismissed them. I then concluded by giving the briefcase to Jane. I told her I know much more than she expects. I was totally destroyed. That there are divorce papers and they're already signed by me, and she can sign them and start the divorce proceedings. I told her I don't expect to survive a contested divorce. That as long as I am alive she can stay at the home in town. I will be at the farm. I will not see her after tonight. I don't want to hear any excuses. I have called Carol to help her home. In true fashion, Jane kept her composure in public. She just uttered a quick, "But," I just reminded her I am leaving and I am done. I went to the server and gave her a generous tip, found the owner, and apologized for not giving him a heads up. As I am leaving I see my son at the door with Carol. Carol passes me with a quick smile, then a concern in her eyes for Jane. My son grabs my truck and his wife drives me to the farm. My son and his wife stayed with me Friday night. I finally got them to go home at midnight. I went to sleep with a great sense of relief, but with a renewed feeling of loss. But I was able to accomplish the task I needed to do. The family came to the farm on Saturday to make sure I was okay. I felt a bit coddled, but it was a good day until Carol came by in the afternoon. She said that Jane fell apart Friday night, but I guess contacted her AP on Saturday. After the conversation, Jane realized she was just being used by the AP and was really in a bad state. Carol made sure to tell me that Jane did not ask her to reach out to me. But she feels that if I could talk with Jane for a bit, then it could give Jane the strength to keep her out of my life. Carol knows how to frame her requests. I reluctantly agreed to a 2-hour discussion at the farm with Jane. I would have someone there for me, and Jane could choose someone to be there for her. We will have a civil conversation. I will not accept being blamed, minimization, or blame shifting. The purpose of the meeting will be for her to get answers for how to move forward. That meeting happened this morning. Jane picked Carol, I don't know why, maybe damage control, and I chose my daughter. I wanted it to be as comfortable for Jane just so we don't have to repeat this again. I entered the meeting with a steadfast direction and goal of having Jane out of my life. The meeting was as expected. Jane cried, apologized, and tried to minimize the affair. I was not having any of it. I laid out that she will have a place to live until my death. Then the house decision will be on the trustees. I explained that she will not see anything from my estate or from the trust. But she has her 6-figure pension and her trust, so she will be just fine. I have to rant about something. She said, why won't you fight for me or us? I almost broke loose my temper at her, but I just responded with, I just don't care about you or us anymore. That kinda destroyed her. Here I am going to express my anger. This is the mind of a selfish cheater. All they think about is themselves. That even after destroying someone, they expect to have enough value in that person's eyes to fight for. F that. I was not worth fighting for against her desires or greed. F her. Sorry for the rant. Jane gets the answers she asked for, but in hindsight did not want them. I don't want another meeting. I feel continuing the meetings just distracts me from what I want to do. Carol and Jane leave, but Carol comes back a couple of hours later. She and I have a quick talk. Apparently AP had received notice from the trustees that they are going to convert the loan into shares of his company. And since the trust will be the majority owner, they are asking for a full forensic audit. My daughter with the MBA is not wasting any time. Well, I guess when Jane went to him for comfort, she realized what I already expected. He was using her to see if she could buy the loan from me. There were offhanded comments in the recordings that I suspected he was up to something. Well, with the paperwork filed, AP knowing I sold the loan to the trust, and Jane no longer in my life, her usefulness to him is gone, and he let her know. Apparently, Jane also confided in Carol that her trust is exhausted. She will only have the income from her pension. She saw life with AP to be more glamorous than with me. She truly thinks his net worth is more than mine. He drives nice cars, eats in fancy restaurants, flies us first class, while my husband played on his farm, drove an old truck, and we flew in economy class. That she was planning on divorcing me when he expressed his undying love and desire to marry her. It disgusts me that she is this greedy and shallow. I won't see it, but I expect my family will tell her how much I was worth after my death. I am so glad that her true colors were shown now, so I could deal with her and spare my family from her. Then Carol did something that was totally unexpected and threw me off guard. She told me that since I am no longer encumbered if I need companionship, to give her a call. I challenged her and asked why with my diagnosis, why would you or any woman want to spend time with me? There is nothing long-term. She responded that just because Jane is an ignorant slut and did not know what she had, does not mean any divorcee or widow would not line up to spend what time I have left with me. That I am a hell of a man and any time with me would be cherished. And I would have quite a few lady callers lining up, and she might as well be first in line. I asked her, but most won't know Jane and I are separated. She said Jane does not want the social groups to know, but that she and Sarah will make sure her story is out. I was polite and told her I would let her know. She smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I thought about it after she left, but I am pretty sure I do not want that complication in my life right now. I have left quite a bit out, but that is the highlights. I am doing okay. It has been a roller coaster. I need a few days of peace and quiet. The social groups will know soon. Both the breakup of my marriage and also my diagnosis. I will now have an endless stream of people wishing me well. I knew I could not delay it forever, but I don't want to be treated differently. However, life is what it is. Time to start dinner and relax this evening. Again, thank you all for all of your support. I will try to go back and respond to all of your messages. They mean so much to me.